to myself, we all lost touch. Your favorite fruit is chocolate covered cherries and seedless watermelon. Oh, nothing from the ground is good enough. Your body rides leaning over me, oh cherry, yeah. Your golden wings all walking down upon this place, oh cherry, yeah. I'm singing out loud to guide me, yeah. Give me your strength, yeah. Remember seeing moons rebirth, rings made mirrors of the earth, and the sun was just yellow energy. There is a little promised land, yeah. Even though it feels of sin, the seasons fill the burden. Cover me and bring it back, more than a memory. Oh, cherry, yeah. Your golden wings are walking down upon this space. Oh, cherry, yeah. I'm singing out loud to guide me. Give me your strength. You'll be my vacation away from this place. You know what I want, yeah. Holding that cup that's pouring over this side, it makes me want to spread my arms and fly. Oh, cherry, yeah. Your golden wings are walking down upon this space. Oh, cherry, yeah. I'm singing out loud to guide me. Give me your strength, yeah. Give me your strength, yeah. Give me your strength, oh cherry, yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. James Harper. Hi, James.
Good morning.
Happy Sunday to you.
And to you.
What a pleasure it is to share this time with you together today.
Always.
Yeah, and a great acoustic guitar song to get started with, to create a mood that's ready to be energized and mellow all at the same time.
Excited to continue.
Cool. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's James Harper, who's in as our music director and guest solo artist, wearing both hats today. Such a pleasure to have him with us today, and you'll get to hear more from him as our time together unfolds. I'm Reverend Dr. Keith Cox, the spiritual leader here at the Center for Spiritual Living, Los Angeles. It's Sunday, April 18th in the year 2021, and thank you for joining us, whether you're joining us live through Zoom and or Facebook, or at a later date by watching our videos on at a variety of locations, or specifically on YouTube. I want to welcome you to being with us as we spend this time together, connecting with the great I am that exists within us, that power, that presence, the force of life itself. And so I'm going to dive right into our opening presentation and multimedia components of starting the morning. And so we are the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and it's such a joy to be here with you today and give a big hello and welcome to our community, whether it's the first time you've joined us today or you have been with us at any other time. In the land of Los Angeles, where we're located, as I said last week, spring has definitely sprung. It's a beautiful day already here in the land of Los Angeles. The city of angels actually is who we are. And I know that wherever you're joining us from, if it's in the Northern Hemisphere, you too are enjoying the fruits of the beauty of spring as it's emerging from this time of winter hibernation. We start our service every Sunday morning by taking a deep breath in and engaging in the act of namaste. Namaste is the Hindu Sanskrit word for the God in me, the power in me, the life in me, honors and acknowledges the God, the power, the life in you. So I invite us all as we anchor into this time together to place our hands together, put them on our chest in prayer position, and take a deep breath in. And as we exhale, just feeling the connection that we all share beyond this wall of technology, and say together, Namaste. And feel the energy as it reverberates back over each and every one of us, no matter where we may be. And so we are a community that has come together for over 30 years now in the city of Los Angeles, a new thought community, a metaphysical community we're known as. And we welcome all races, all religions, all countries of origin, all sexual orientations, all genders, all abilities, for we stand with you, shoulder to shoulder, heart to heart, the light within us to the light within us, for you are safe here, expressing your stamp of individuality of the divine just as you are. And so honoring our beloved founding minister, Dr. David Walker, which you'll hear more about from him later on in this service, let's affirm as he did each and every Sunday morning, we welcome one and we welcome all. And so as a community, as I said, known as the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, over the 30 years, we've been known as the Los Angeles Church of Religious Science. And we come together in this community to teach, to practice, to experience primarily the philosophy and the faith and the way of life known as the science of mind and other related teachings. The essence of these teachings are that there's only one power that exists in the universe. You and I both process, experience, and express this power through our thinking, through our actions, through our reactions, and our interactions with life itself. Because the very essence of life itself is within each and every one of us. We acknowledged that just a moment ago as we said namaste to each other. That is honoring that power that is within each and every one of us, the force of life itself. And for many years, the vision statement, and certainly in its inception for our beloved community, was making a difference. Meaning that as we engage in this evolution of who we are as divine beings and practice the philosophy and faith and way of life known as the science of mind, we're not only making a difference in our own lives through our actions, reactions, interactions with life itself, but making a difference in the lives of all others that walk this planet, all other life forms on this planet, all sentient beings. Over the years, and when I came into this role as the leader, the spiritual leader, our vision statement changed to supporting individuals find on their journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening. Today, I invite you to hear this anew, as I often do on Sunday mornings, to connect with the spiritual nature that exists within you and within me. And as we nurture that which is inherent within us, and begin to make a difference in our own lives and the lives of others, and we find within us an expanding sense of personal self-empowerment. And as a reflection of that, we know who we are as divine beings in a new way. And in so doing, the way that we show up as humans do indeed make a difference on our planet. And so we open our service every Sunday morning with what's called a ritual, meaning that we do it every Sunday morning. And this ritual is called calling in the light. And so as we begin to call in the light, I invite you to focus on the orb on the screen with the flickering flame. Listening to the music in the background that is called Liquid Mind. And as we center and anchor ourselves into the light of life through the use of our mind, let's know this together. Today we perform this ceremony, this ritual, to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples and all faiths, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we call spirit. The purpose of this ritual is to draw into our gathering this morning a conscious awareness of our oneness and the qualities that we possess as complete expressions of the divine. And so as we feel the vibrations shift during this experience, may we become ever more aware of the light of life that exists in and as all expressions of life. That includes you, and it includes me. The next aspect of our ritual is a prayer. In metaphysics, we use prayer in the I am manner, a declarative manner. I invite you to hear this prayer for health this morning from the perspective of I am. I affirm the one power and one presence of omnipotent God. I affirm that this power and presence created me and is within me always and forever. The power of God and the presence of God exist within my mind, my heart, and my soul. The omniscience of God, which is divine creative intelligence, is in every cell and every atom in my physical body. Divine creative intelligence now creates new and healthy cells and restores my body to perfect health. I affirm and proclaim that God's omnipotence in eradicating and replacing diseased cells with new and healthy cells now. The divine omnipotent power of God is greater than the fear and worry that I imagine in my mind. I affirm and proclaim that God's omnipotence removes this fear and worry. And I call upon the presence of God within me to lift and sustain me through this current difficulty. I'm healed in body and mind by the divine creative intelligence in my soul. I am radiant in God's perfect love and power. For I am grateful for the presence of creative divine intelligence in my being. I recognize and proclaim this truth as my truth. And so it is. Om. Peace. Amen. As we just feel the resonance field of the vibration of Om. Peace. Amen. We will now move to the next phase of our ritual of singing a song called Calling in the Light. James will take us through that now, and the lyrics of the response of the call and response will be on the screen.
Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling In my heart, I am free. I am spirit, and I am soul. And all together, we are home. Calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light, calling in the light, calling in the light of love, calling in the light of love. And so it is, and so it is, and so it is.
Ah, and so it is. Thank you, James. Thank you to each of you. Just feel the presence of the shift in vibrations as we've anchored ourselves. James, I'm going to invite you to turn your camera on. Such a joy to have you with us today. There's the one and only famous and handsome James Harper. James, that was a beautiful rendition of Calling in the Light. Thank you.
Absolutely.
So what song do you have for us this morning?
This is one of my favorite Billy Joel songs in the world, called "And So It Goes," and to me, it's kind of about uh, wanting to wall your heart off to somebody because of your past experience or something that might have happened to you, and someone kind of coming into your life and drawing you out and opening you up again.
Fantastic. Please enjoy, everyone.
In every heart, there is a room, a sanctuary safe and strong, to heal the wounds from lovers past, until a new one comes along. I spoke to you in cautious tones. You answered me with no pretense, and still I feel I said too much. My silence is my self-defense, and every time I've held a rose, it seems I've only felt the thorns. And so it goes, and so it goes, and so will you soon, I suppose. But if my silence made you leave, then that would be my worst mistake. So I will share this room with you, and you can have this heart to break. And this is why my eyes are closed. It's just as well for all I've seen. And so it goes, and so it goes. And you're the only one who knows. would choose to be with you, as if the choice were mine to make. But you can make decisions too, and you can have this heart to break. And so it goes, and so it goes, and you're the only one who knows.
Ah, so touching. Beautiful. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
You can tell you just allowed your soul to sing that song through you.
It's
So
easy to do when you have a lyric like that.
yeah. Well, Billy Joel, he's a gift to the universe,
Amen.
without a doubt. But so are you. And so I just want you to know you're very special to us, and everyone loves and adores you and honors you and appreciates you. So
Thank you, Keith.
thank you so much. Wonderful. Thank you, James. We'll see you again shortly after the message.
Sounds good.
And so, speaking of the message this morning, I'm going to do something a bit different. That, as I spoke earlier in the service, referencing or in the service in our opening ritual, or prior to that, Dr. David Walker, who was the founding minister of this particular center or church. I will say on his behalf that he struggled with changing it to the term center. He was very strident, as Dr. David Walker could be, in regards to his opinion and his ideology as an old school metaphysician, and not even looking at it as a church in the sense of a house of religion, but certainly a house of worship, of worshiping the philosophy and faith and the way of life of Dr. Ernest Holmes, known as the Science of Mind, because he witnessed that not only making a magnificent and radical shift in his own life, but in that of many people that he encountered, and ultimately becoming known as one of the great teachers of this teaching on the planet. The reason I'm speaking of him today is that this week marked the 11th anniversary of his passing in 2010. And he would be so happy to and he would be happy because he was a performer and a star and loved adulation, would love to know all of the love that is shown for him and to him through social media, as well as those of us on this planet that still walk the talk of this teaching and know him. And so I'm going to read one of his messages that he delivered from the podium one Sunday this morning to you. And it's done so out of love and reverence and respect for Dr. David. If you knew him, I invite you to hear the words as I read them, as if it were him reading them aloud and presenting his consciousness to you. And if not, just open yourselves up to who and what he represented. He had a magnificent sense of humor. He was very clear and precise and loved to look at life through a multitude of ways. And I will personally say that I feel so very blessed that he came into my life and was my teacher for many, many, many years. And so here we go. The title of the message is The Third Eye. One of the most exotic symbols for that which is spiritual is the third eye, an eye placed about right here. It's exotic because there are so few people who have one. Remember Cyclops? I think Cyclops had a third eye. Well, I researched that and he was not quite right there. Cyclops had a single eye in the middle of his head, but be that as it may. He goes on to say in his message, few people have a third eye at the physical level, but everyone has one at the mental or spiritual level. However, having a mental third eye is not what we shall question. We shall start today's message by thinking about what the third eye is. Do we, as individuals, use our third eye? Well, what is the third eye? There is that within each of us which operates beyond the pairs of opposites, that something is spiritual. It is spiritual itself. It is the third eye. You see, the symbology is quite wonderful. Now remember, though the symbology is physical, we're talking about a mental activity. And the mental symbology is this. The first eye makes a consideration, should I go? The second eye makes the opposite consideration, should I stay? At this level, there is often argument, indecision, uncertainty, confusion, and hesitation. Why? Because mind is presenting an issue to itself that only has two choices, arrived at by dealing with the relative plane, meaning that which we experience. Mind is thinking at the level of the pairs of opposites. Should I go? Should I stay? Should I say yes? Should I say no? Should I? Shouldn't I? Enter the element that knows there is yet a third consideration, the absolute, or the unchangeable, the divine, that which is right. The left eye argues for what it sees. The right eye argues for what it sees. The third eye does not argue. The third eye goes beyond the pairs of opposites and simply knows what is right. The object in life is to think from the third eye. The third eye will always reveal exactly what needs to be known. Now, the third eye may choose an idea that the left or the right eye was focusing on. But if it does, it won't be choosing between two different opposing ideas. If the third eye chooses yes, it will not think that it is choosing between two possibilities. The third eye's choice doesn't have an opposite. The third eye only sees one choice, that which is right. And when he speaks of right, he's not speaking of right or wrong. He's speaking of the divine. When you do that which is right for you, and you know it, there is no opposing consideration in your mind. The person who chooses and then wonders if they've made the right choice may have, may not have. You see, part of making the right choice is knowing it's the right choice. Is it the right choice if we don't know it? It isn't as far as I'm concerned, he says. Why? Because the only person who is really equipped to fulfill the choice they've made is the person who knows it was a right choice. This is true about relationships. There is something within you which knows which people are right for you, as friends, as companions, as a mate. And if you're wondering if someone is right for you, I wouldn't say they aren't. I'd say let your wondering, with an O, wondering, be a cue to think from the third eye. Another way of saying it is, if you're wondering whether or not someone is right for you, they are not until you know they are. And you can only know that if you stop the arguing. One pretty good test regarding whether someone is right for us or not is our interest in finding out what others think. What do you think of Melvin? Do you think he's right for me? Do you think Sheila and I look good together? Do you think Irving and I make a good team? Yes, and it should be in front of a stagecoach, the answer is. The only time you're equipped to fulfill a good relationship is when you know the relationship is right. This is the same case for work or career. If you find yourself writing a list of pluses and minuses, trying to clarify whether or not someone is right for you, you're going about it from the relative plane. Everyone has pluses and minuses. The right person isn't going to be perfect. They're going to be perfect for you. They're going to match consciousness, is what they're going to do. See the difference? The third eye does not operate at the level of opposites. It operates at the level of right knowing. Now apply this way of thinking to everything. Let me repeat it, he writes. Now apply this way of thinking to everything in life. For the same is true about your work. I once heard an actress argue back and forth as to whether LA or New York was the best place to live. She then solicited answers from her friends. Where do you think is the best place for an actress to live? The kind of question surely doesn't give much credit to the individual woman, does it? This woman thought of herself as an actress who was either in the right or the wrong place, rather than consciousness always operating at the level of knowing what is right. After counseling this question, LA and New York were not her thoughts about her career. For New York wasn't the answer. LA wasn't the answer. She was the answer. I repeat, when you choose that which is right for you and you know it, there are no opposing considerations in your mind. You don't have to tear yourself away from one idea just so you can do what is right. People often ask me, he says, do you miss singing? No, I answer them. What I'm doing has no opposites in my own mind. When someone says, there but for the grace of God goes me, do you agree with that? He says, this may be a compassionate response to life, but remember, you cannot think for someone else, and no one can think for you. So take a stand when someone says, there but for the grace of God goes me, and declare, this is not a possibility for me, because I do not think at the level of opposites. Say it again. This is not a possibility for me, because I do not think at the level of opposites. What are we identifying with in life? Make sure that your compassion doesn't cause you to identify with sickness or disease or unhappiness. You can identify with what you intend to experience. For you and I are capable of compassion, but our compassion must go beyond it to right thinking. The third eye is what we're talking about today. But there's another way to think of the third eye, and that's by spelling I, E-Y-E, just simply I. And the premise is this. When we move through a creative process, every time we think, and we move through it with a series of I's, the letter I's. Not I's, as in the eyes in our head, but the uppercase letter I, apostrophe S. The first I defines a need, a desire. I want it. I need it. I demand it. I crave it. I require it. And for those of you that knew Dr. David well, the require and the demand were important words. So I'll repeat it again. The first I defines a need, a desire. I want it. I need it. I demand it. I crave it. I require cream, he would say. Now, the first I is valid in that it is the initial action of the creative process, the need. The first I defines the need. Now comes the second I. And it is the secondary action in the creative process. The secondary action deals with the need. It isn't the need, it deals with the need. At the secondary stage of creation, the need's either accepted or rejected. This I, the second I, says, I can have it. I can't have it. I deserve it. I don't deserve it. I give myself permission to have it, or I don't give myself permission to have it. Now, the third I does this. The third eye only gets to deal with the ideas that have survived the first two eyes. Remember, in this analogy, all three eyes represents the word we use to identify self. I, the letter I. If the first eye said, I want it, if the second eye said, I can't have it, the third eye closes the deal. Now it's what the third eye does that determines what happens. The third eye may say, I have to talk so and so into such and to get it. Let me repeat that, I messed it up. The third eye may say, I have to talk so and so into such and such to get it. I have to wait for certain things to change before I can act. I hope I have what it takes to do this. I'm trying my best. Can you see how the idea is on shaky ground when the third eye takes any of these stands? What stand moves the idea into actual manifestation? What must the third eye say to turn a desire into a reality? It uses its identity, the word I. But this time, it closes the gap between what it is and what it wants to happen by saying, I have the consciousness of the fulfilled idea. It closes the gap between what is and what it wants to happen by saying, I have the consciousness of the fulfilled idea. The first I may say, I want a loving relationship. I want a wonderful career. I want to be surrounded by lovely things. I want more understanding. I want more money. The second I may say, I give myself permission to have all of these things. But it's only when the third I follows through with the right concept that these things can actually happen. For it makes no difference what we want. Things, homes, money, friends, states of mind of peace, courage, confidence, oneness. We have to give ourselves permission to have them. Yes, we even have to give ourselves permission to accept God within us. We have to give ourselves permission to know ourselves, to be a part of something bigger. That one personality, our ego, our likes and our dislikes. We have to give ourselves permission to know ourselves as the light. Death, as an experience, sees the light and realizes the light, he says. Stuart Wilde says, the light shines with an intensity that is exquisite. You see, our demonstration can never be getting God to be within us. For God, this power, is there, whether we accept it or not. For our demonstration is a conscious awareness that God, the power, is within. And we make this demonstration the same way we make any demonstration. We affirm that we have the consciousness of the completed idea. You can't get someone to accept themselves as the divine mind. It's something they have to become conscious of, their self. And so the first I may say, I want to know that God is within. The second I may say, I can be a person who knows and feels God's presence within. But it's the third I that does it. The third I affirms, I am the presence, knowing itself. And so today, whether we're thinking about the third eye from the concept of going beyond the pairs of opposites, or the I that identifies the self and closes the deal, remember one thing. This is not secret doctrine, exclusive to a special few people. The principle of life, which exists within you and exists within me, is available for anyone to understand and use to their own benefit. So let's get busy and understand more so that we can use the more in greater ways. The wisdom of the universe lies within each one of us, waiting to be approached. And so we approach it from the stillness that is within. And so I encourage you to be still and know that you are the infinite intelligence of God mind, knowing and doing what is right for you today. And so it is. And so I invite you today to take a moment and recall either Dr. David Walker when he first entered your life, or some of the great things that he did for you in your life. When you began to know in a new way who you are as the great I am. Or any other teacher that came into your life to do that for you. And let you and I let today be the day that we honor that which has been passed on to us from our teachers. One of the things that resonated so for me with Dr. David, and he and I had a very intense relationship, because Dr. David always had the ability to want to hold people that he saw a gift in to a much higher standard than they could hold themselves to often. At the time, that was very challenging. But in retrospect, it was giving in an oddly parental way, but it was done so with love. It was so that I, along with each one of all of us who are waiting to awaken to the power that is within us, that holding a spiritual truth for us that is possible to be made manifest through us. And so as we honor that individual or individuals that did that for us on our journey in life, I invite you and I to use that intuitive third eye to commit today to do that for others. To know that we can't control their mind to think in a way to awaken to the God-mind consciousness that is within them. But we do have the capacity to hold an idea for them as true until they find that resonance field for themselves. That's not done out of a sense of arrogance. It's not done out of a sense of wanting to be in control. It's done out of a deep understanding of the oneness of life, of the interconnectedness of life. And that through this interconnectedness that we share with all sentient beings, that as we continue on our own personal journey of finding personal self-empowerment through a spiritual awakening, the gift that we have to give back and this ripple effect of life, of cause and effect, is to hold that idea, to speak that truth, to believe what is possible for those individuals until they can believe that for themselves. What a gift that we have to be able to do that. Not because we're special, but because that's inherent and innate within us as a divine being. And so I invite you today to, in the stillness and the silence, that we each have the opportunity to go within and honor, to make the commitment to live life anew today by holding this idea of what's possible for individuals and the collective in a new way. Thank you, and namaste. And so with great joy, I bring James back to our service this morning to share another song.
May you have auspiciousness and causes of success. May you have confidence to always do your best. May you take no effort in being generous, sharing what you can, nothing more, nothing less. May you know the meaning of the word happiness. May you always lead from the beating in your chest. May you be treated like an esteemed guest. May you get to rest, may you catch your breath. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa, may the road less may be the road that you follow. Whoa, well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. Want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. Want you to have it all, all, all. Want you to have it all. Want you to have it. Want you to have it all. May you be as fascinating as a slap bracelet. May you keep your chaos and the clutter off your desk. May you have unquestionable health and less stress. Having no possessions, no immeasurable wealth. May you get a gold star on your next test. May you get educated, guesses always be correct. May you win prizes shining like diamonds. May you really own it each moment to the next. May the best of your todays be the worst of your tomorrows. Whoa, oh, oh. May the road less paved be the road that you follow. Whoa, well, here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. Want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. Want you to have it all, all, all. Want you to have it all, yeah. Want you to have it. Want you to have it all, oh. I want you to have it all you can imagine, oh. No matter what your path is, if you believe it, then anything can happen. Go, 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 raise your glass and go, go, go. You can have it all. And I toast it. Here's to the hearts that you're gonna break. Here's to the lives that you're gonna change. Here's to the infinite possible ways to love you. Want you to have it. Here's to the good times we're gonna have. You don't need money, you got a free pass. Here's to the fact that I'd be sad without you. Want you to have it, oh, oh, oh. I want you to have it all. I want you to have it, yeah, yeah. I want you to have it all, oh, 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 yeah.
Yeah, I want you to have it too. How wonderful that the lyrics of that song tied right into the last piece of what I said in our
Right?
message, right?
It's like they
Spirit,
planned that or something.
yeah, spirit has its way of living in spontaneity, and we all know that, right?
Truth.
So thank you. What a wonderful song, and that's originally a Jason Mraz song, I believe.
That is a Jason Mraz song, yes.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. Well, thank you, James. I know you'll be with us in just a moment to sing Love Is My Decision with us as we move into the next phase. But once again, a huge thank you for being here. It's just always such a joy. And so now we move into the part of our service where you have the opportunity to support us financially as a community that thrives on the conscious giving of all who participate in the flow of the universe by supporting our beloved community that's been here for 30 years and more, and certainly as we've moved through this most interesting year of this pandemic. So the options and methods to do that is to go to our website, csl-la.org, and click on donate, not only for this, but other great resources. You can go to the app in the App Store, Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, and click on the upper left bars, and the screen will come up and you'll see the donate tab, or you can mail in a check. Our address is 1200 North La Brea Avenue, West Hollywood, California 90038, or my phone number's on the screen, and you can call me and we can take care of that privately should you like to do that. As we all prepare to do that and live in the flow of the universe and consciously give of our good, knowing that it returns to us multiplied abundantly, James will take us through our conscious giving song called Love is My Decision.
Love is my decision. It's up to me to give up my heart. Love is my decision. No one else can tell me to start. And once I decide to change my mind, Source will show me how. Love is my decision, right here, right
And so I affirm for each of us that love indeed is our decision, that we allow the spirit and its nature to propagate out of itself, more of itself, and the only way it can do that is through you and through me. And so as we give of our financial good, we do so with an awakened mind, understanding that as we consciously live in the flow of good in the universe, it does its part and just like a boomerang returns to us, but multiplied abundantly. I know for each of us, we're deeply appreciative to be conscious on this journey. And let it be as we say together, amen. And so it is. Thank you, James, and thank you to each and every one of you. To update you on some things that are taking place here at the Center for Spiritual Living Los Angeles, we continue with our Wednesday morning guided meditation. It takes place at 8:30 a.m., runs till 9 a.m. most. Sometimes it's shorter. It's a great way to connect in the middle of the week to remind you all and remind ourselves of who we are as divine beings and to anchor into this stillness, this knowingness that Dr. Walker spoke of, this remembrance of who we are as a divine being. It's done through Zoom. You need not do your hair and turn your cameras on. It is recorded, though. And so those recordings will be on our website and on our Facebook page later in the week, as well as there's a library of those to listen to if you'd like to listen to them. I oftentimes will take the recorded version on my phone and listen to it when I go out for a walk in the morning. So I encourage you all to do the same. Also, our class, the new class series called The Journey of Awakening, continues Wednesday evenings at 6:30. It's a great class series to look at the intersection of our everyday life and how we use our mind and our spiritual practices to awaken to a greater sense of who we are as divine beings. I can assure you there's a lot of preparation done for these classes, and it would be deeply wonderful and deeply appreciated if you would take the time to participate in those. You can take one class or the whole series. There's now I believe there's 6 more left. But please avail yourself of this and support this community and support each other and support me. It would be greatly appreciative and an honor to have you with us on Wednesday evenings. The class is $25 per class, and we also have scholarships available. So reach out if you have more questions. We'd love to have you join us. Also, just a reminder that we have what's called a new thought for the day that goes out each and every morning. It's on a text. It goes at 7:30 in the mornings. It's a great way to just start every day to see that text and let it be a reminder of how we want to choose to live throughout today. I'll share with what today's was, so you'll get a flavor for it if you're not receiving those and you would like to. And it was this. The Buddha tells us, in the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how greatly you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Today, let's engage in this awareness and make choices to love, live, and let go anew. And so I encourage you to make sure you're receiving those. And if you would like to do that, you can sign up through our website. So feel free to do that. A big thank you to, oh, before I do that, I just want to let you know that next Sunday, my conversations with Dr. Keith continue. We have a very, very, very special guest, Reverend Dr. David Leonard, who is the spiritual leader of the um, Huntsville, Alabama Center of Spiritual Living. I've known Dr. David for many years, and he is a profound teacher of metaphysics in a very grounded, creative, beloved manner. He's known for workshops created called Dance with the Beloved, which is all about feeling the rhythm of life and creation and living from the energy of the esoteric while bringing it into the realm of the human. It'll be a most wonderful conversation, and I encourage you to not only be here next Sunday morning, but to invite friends to participate and to hear these fun conversations that take place, and know that they're a great way to introduce people that are unaware of this philosophy and faith and way of life. It's just that. So I want to let you know that we have some thank yous to go out. A huge thank you to each one of you that joined us today. Thank you for your presence, whether it's through Zoom and or Facebook or later on our YouTube channel. A huge thank you to Robert Hensley, who is in charge of our social media programming and as well as our administrative work, and just keeps us in line technologically in that realm. Thank you, Robert Hensley. A big thank you to Travis Smith, our audio technician, who also works diligently with us to present to you the best audio format possible through the myriad of technology that we're doing this through. So thank you to Travis. A big thank you to our guest music director and musical artist today, James Harper. James, thank you. It's just such a pleasure and an honor to have you here. So thank you for being here. I'd like to remind you that we do have licensed practitioners. Should you desire to learn more about this teaching or engage in healing, they're trained to meet with you where you are and help resolve what's going on in your life through the act of spiritual mind treatment, aligning your consciousness with the consciousness of the divine itself, a remembrance of who you are as a being of peace and power and beauty and joy and light and life and love and wisdom. And so thank you for joining us today. If you're here on Facebook, I'm going to close, well, in general, we're going to do a meditation in just a moment. After our meditation, we will close out from Facebook and say goodbye to those of you that have joined us through Facebook Live. And then those of us that are here on Zoom can stay on and say just a quick hello to each other and to check in. And so let's close with a meditation. So as we all just begin to become aware of our breath, and exhaling, becoming ever more aware of the moment. Of the presence. Of maybe our innate nature to argue, to contemplate, to discuss, to live in a pair of opposites. And as we inhale and exhale, we release the need for that and align ourselves with the third eye. That energy of the divine, the intelligence and the wisdom of the divine. And as we surrender out of an act of strength to this creative energy, we begin to know ourselves as an empowered being in a greater way than ever before. And so choosing to be grateful for that teacher or teachers that saw something in us before we saw it in ourselves. We honor that exchange of energy by making a covenant and a commitment to ourselves to be that for others as we stay in the flow of the good of life. Choosing to engage in, to act upon, to be the presence of the great I am. And just feeling the transformative power that is within. We ready ourselves to meet and greet the day and the week ahead, infused and empowered, awake and alive and alert to the force of life that is within us. And the glory and the opportunity that we have to use it in effective and life-affirming ways. And so we inhale together. 1, 2, and 3, holding. And as we exhale, 1, 2, and 3, we release this meditation out into the creative forces of the world, of the universe, of life. And let it be as we say together, and so it is.